StraightAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to structure urgency into your life. Now, before we get into this, tell everyone I have a daily motivation text message I send out free of charge to everyone who's in my text community. This message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. If you want to receive that message, and I don't see any reason why you would not, all you got to do is text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every morning when that daily motivation message goes out, as a member of my text community, you shall receive the message. Secondly, the next step for you to go deeper into my world, get access to all my courses, get into my coaching programs, and also get my physical mailings that I send out every single month, is for you to join the university at workonyourgameuniversity.com, where you can get access to some of the courses you've heard me talk about, like the content machine course, like the ASAP Confidence, 30 Days of Discipline, Bulletproof Mindset 2.0, Business Builder course, Your Body, Your Health, Next Mission, and 20 more courses, all available at workonyourgameuniversity.com. So if you have not yet joined the university, go there. You'll see your options and you can get started in the university. That is your next step from this show. So with all that said, let's get into the topic here today, which is, again, how to structure urgency into your life. I'm talking about this topic because a lot of people want to be more productive. Many people are looking for ways to get more stuff done on a daily basis, while at the same time we all understand that we have a fixed, what's the word that I'm looking for? Let's just say one of the fixed parts of our lives is the fact that there are only 24 hours in a day. So if you want to be more productive, it's not a matter of you finding more time, because the amount of time has not changed. It's a matter of how can we get more done, execute more, and be more efficient with our time on a daily basis. One of the ways to do this, there are several things that you can do. I talk about a lot of them in my 25 hours course, which is another course that's available inside of at the university at workonyourgameuniversity.com. But one of the ways that you can get more done with the time that you do have, because that amount is not changing, is a fixed time, is for you to be more urgent, which just means putting more energy behind the effort that you do give and in the time that you are using, such that more gets done in that same hour than usually gets done in that hour. Just having more urgency. Now, what many people believe about urgency incorrectly is that in order to have more urgency, you just have to get yourself more motivated, more activated. You got to be constantly thinking about it all the time, just reminding yourself to be urgent. I'm not saying that that doesn't necessarily work. It can work. The thing is, it's not sustainable, because now you're telling your conscious mind to keep reminding yourself of something that's probably not going to work. You want to instead, what you want to do is put a structure in place that makes your urgency more automatic, that it makes it happen as a result of the structure, the circumstances that you have set up. So when you set circumstances up in a certain way, you're going to be urgent automatically, because the circumstances basically force that urgency to come out of you. So this is what we want to talk about here today. It's how to structure things such that the urgency happens naturally. That's the topic. Point number one. Topic, once again, is how to structure urgency into your life. The first thing you got to do is watch the clock. Watching the clock, I'm using this metaphorically and literally at the same time. Everybody wants more productivity. I don't think there's a single listener to this show who does not want to be more productive on a daily basis. So to be more productive means you're getting more done in the same amount of time, which means you got to pay attention to how you are using the time. You got to start noticing how time is being used. The thing about us human beings is that it is very easy for us, because the human brain is a deletion machine. It basically deletes anything that we have not given it a signal that tells it that this thing X, Y, or Z is important. If we don't give our brain a signal that a thing is important, then the brain basically deletes the fact that it happened. It's kind of like, have you ever had a day where you drove to work, or you drove to school, or you drove to the gym, or you just did some routine activity that you do all the time, and you've done it so many times that you don't even remember the fact that you did it, and you might have just did it an hour ago, you might have just did it 10 minutes ago. It's because the human brain basically deletes anything that could become a memory if it doesn't deem it necessary to be remembered. I'm sharing that to share this, that the way that we use time, the human brain deletes any memory of how we have used our time if we have not given our brain a reason to remember how we are using our time. So when you start consciously watching the clock, consciously paying attention to how you're using your time, you are giving your brain a conscious signal that how we use time is important. And when you start doing this, you will start using your time differently. This is the way that it works. So just paying attention to something automatically will get you to start noticing better what's actually happening in that space. So if you want to have more time in life, you got to be looking at how you are utilizing the time that you have. If you want more money, for example, you got to be paying more attention to the money. I talked about this in the episode on wealth increasing principles. If you want more energy, pay more attention to how you are using your energy. So anything that you want to get more of or get better at, or you just want to get a better idea of what's happening in that part of your life, the first thing you have to do is get conscious about the unconscious. I talk about this also when I talk about confidence. When I talk about building your confidence, you got to get conscious about what you are unconsciously thinking. Remembering that 85% of our thoughts as human beings are controlled by our unconscious and subconscious minds. So the first thing you got to do is make those unconscious things conscious. So when you become aware of what you're thinking, now you can change it. This is a mental conditioning point, which can affect your confidence, your discipline, your mental toughness, everything else in your life. So you got to get conscious about these things. And once you notice what's happening, now you can actually do something about what's happening. And this is the challenge that many people have, is that their brains are deleting these things and you never even notice what's going on. So what we pay attention to increases and what we ignore goes away. So, and when I say increases, what I mean is the amount of awareness that you have about this thing. So do everything on a schedule. This is the simplest thing you can do to start getting better with using your time, is just start doing things on a schedule. Meaning, I'm going to take this much time to do this. I'm going to take this much time to do that. I'm going to do this from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Actually put things on a schedule instead of just doing stuff and hoping that you get it all done over the course of a day. Put a schedule in place, because that's going to force you to be a little bit more urgent about getting certain things done that might have taken you 75 minutes. Now you're only giving yourself 60 minutes. You'll find that you can make things work within 60 minutes simply because you have given yourself a constraint. And I talked about how constraints and limits in life actually equal freedom. I'll tell you what episode that was. That was episode number 1943. So what gets scheduled, folks, gets done. Schedules have start times and end times. So now you take Parkinson's law and you actually start using it to your advantage instead of it being used to your disadvantage. Parkinson's law just stating that every task will expand or contract given the amount of time made available for it. Point number 2, today's topic once again is how to structure urgency into your life. Number 2, strategize for energy. If you're going to be more urgent, you're going to need the energy to actually do things urgently. You need the energy to do this. It's hard to be urgent when you're tired or you're uninterested in your work. So how much sleep are you getting on a daily basis? What are you putting on your body every single day? You need to organize your work such as to do the most important things first, whatever those happen to be. Now, if you don't know what the most important thing is, then you can't do this. So there's a prerequisite to organizing your work for the most important things. You have to actually prioritize what are the most important things. If you don't know, then you can't do this. So figure that out. You should have that in your head. Ideally, you have this in your head the night before. And the reason why this matters, let's just say if it's Tuesday that you're planning your day for, you want to plan your Tuesday on Monday night. So whenever you finish work on Monday or Monday afternoon, whenever you finish work, you want to plan out what you're going to be doing on Tuesday. The reason why this matters is because you're giving a signal to your subconscious mind, first of all, that what's going to happen on Tuesday is important because you're taking time on Monday to think about it and plan it out. And secondly, because you're telling your mind that this is what I'm going to do on Tuesday. Here's the priority. This is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Your subconscious mind now already knows what the agenda is going to be for Tuesday. So during that 8 hours that you're sleeping, the subconscious mind is already working on ways to be as efficient as possible for what you already are going to do on Tuesday because you already told it what the plan was. But if you don't tell it what the plan is, and you just show up on Tuesday and start working on it then, it's not that you can't get things done, but why not give your subconscious mind a job? So give it a job of getting you ready for what you're going to be doing the next day by planning out the next day the day before. So that's how you organize your work to do the most important things first. And whatever's the most mentally taxing things, you want to do those when your mental energy is at its highest point. For most people, that's in the mornings, but some people, they find their energy in the evenings. For some of you, maybe in the middle of the day. You need to know when your energy is at its peak, when your energy starts to dip. It's usually based around what time you wake up and what time you go to sleep. If you're consistent with that, the more consistent you are with this, then the more easily you'll be able to find that point. And if you're consistent with the time you go to bed and wake up already, then you probably know when your energy is highest. You know when your energy starts to dip over the course of a day. You know when your energy kind of picks up. So me, I'm a person who wakes up early in the morning. When I go to bed relatively early. So my energy is usually highest in the mornings, like before 12 o'clock. Those are like the first 8 hours that I'm awake. Then my energy will start to dip. If it dips, it will start to dip in that late afternoon period, like between 12 and 3 o'clock. And then it'll start to pick up again between, like, let's say 3:30 and 6:30, around that time. I know that because I have a consistent schedule of when I go to sleep and when I wake up. So if your schedule is consistent, even if your time's not the same as mine, you probably have a good idea of this, and you should base your work, the mentally taxing stuff, the stuff that requires the most brain power, around when your energy is the highest. So your energy today is simply a reflection of what you did yesterday. What you did, meaning not the work necessarily, but what you put in your body, what you were drinking, who you were hanging around, what kind of thoughts did you have, what times you go to sleep, what you do before you went to bed, how much sleep did you get, what was the quality of your sleep. All of that is a reflection. All of that is reflected in how your energy is right now. So when you make good decisions today, you'll wake up feeling better tomorrow, and that right there is a metaphor for life. All right, the good decisions that you make now will make it easier for you to do whatever you want to do tomorrow. Tomorrow being any time in the future. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to structure urgency into your life. Number 3, make commitments. If you want to bring urgency into your life, one thing you must do is commit to something. Because when you're committed to something, that means when it's not done, even though it's not done, because you are committed, you will find the energy to get it done because you're committed to it. If you're not committed to something that is halfway done, then you may just leave it as halfway done because there's no commitment to getting it done. But when you're committed to something, you'll figure out how to finish it because you committed. You told yourself that you're going to get this thing done, and that's exactly what you're going to do. This is something that on a simple level, a micro level, this is what a calendar does or a scheduler does. It commits you to something. It commits you to, I'm going to write these emails between 2 o'clock and 2:30. You committed yourself to being done with the emails by 2:30. So if it's 2:22 p.m. and you know those emails got to be done in 8 minutes, then you will probably have a lot more energy and a lot more urgency with dealing with the emails over that next 8 minutes than if you didn't have that planner and you didn't have a time limit on it. You might take till 3:30 to get the emails done simply because there was nothing committing you to getting them done any sooner. See how that works? So this right here, commitments, is a discipline point. When you commit to getting certain things done within a certain period of time, or you commit to other people that you'll get certain things done at a certain period of time, those commitments tie you to an actual outcome, they tie you to an actual action, and they usually tie you to some time amount. You usually should make your commitment should involve time. Most of the time when you make a commitment, because you make a commitment to something and there's no time frame on it, well then whenever it happens, it happens. And for many people, when you set a time frame of whenever, you know what it actually becomes? Well, there's no when. So what's left if you take the word when out of whenever? It becomes, halfway. It becomes never. You take the when out of whenever, you get never. That's why you had to put a time frame on what you're doing. There's a bunch of you right now listening to me. You have told yourself that you are quote unquote committed to doing something. There's some outcome that you have committed yourself to, or at least you claim that you have committed yourself to something. However, you didn't put a time frame on that commitment. You didn't put a time frame on when or by when you would get that certain thing done. And because you put no time frame on it, there's no when on it, that thing you claim to have committed to, the time actually becomes never, because you have no urgency, there's no structure of urgency, and there is no built-in reason for you to get it done now. I mean, why not do it tomorrow? Why not start next week or next month or next year or 5 years from now or when your kids grow up and your kid's 2 years old. So when your kid grows up and goes off to college, that's when you'll do it. Or when the weather changes, or after the school year's over, or after you make a certain amount of money, or after you do this or that or that. And you can continually come up with more and more reasons / excuses to not get things done when there is no time frame attached to it. That's why the time frame matters so much. And some of you may be listening to that and thinking, well, Dre, I don't want to have to put a time frame on everything, because if I put a time frame on everything, then it's almost like I have this kind of pressure on top of me to get things done all the time. Well, guess what? That's the magic damn formula. I'm leaving that 5 seconds of space there. I want that space in there, so Nico, don't take that space out. All right, that's the magic formula. Putting pressure on yourself to get things done is a positive energy. Pressure is not a negative emotion. Pressure is a positive emotion. Now, stress is an emotion you don't want, but pressure is a good one. As the saying goes, pressure makes diamonds. You want pressure because pressure will bring energy and performances out of you that a lack of pressure will never bring out of you. That's why you want pressure. Pressure is a good thing. Again, you don't want stress, but you do want pressure. A true commitment, folks, ties you to an action, and it ties you to an outcome, and it ties you to a time. We all know what true commitments look like, because we have all made commitments at some point in our lives. Usually when we're dealing with other people, we make commitments. The hardest commitment to keep, though, is the ones that we make to ourselves, because it's much easier for us to quit on ourselves when no one else knows about it than it is to quit on another person when that other person would know about it, especially a person who you respect or love or trust. So show yourself the same respect that you would show to your boss, to your teachers, to your parents. Again, you wouldn't no-show on a commitment that you made to those people. Why? Because if you no-show on a commitment to your boss, you get fired. You no-show on a commitment to your parents, you might get your ass whooped, or you might get grounded. You no-show on a commitment to a friend, then that friend may lose trust in you. You might lose that relationship. But if you no-show on a commitment to yourself, well, you can look at that and say, oh, well, nobody knows about it, so what? But here's what you lose. You lose self-respect. You lose the esteem that you have for yourself, because you just told yourself you were going to do something and you just didn't do it. Now, what are you conditioning yourself to do? You're conditioning yourself to not trust your own word. So then when you tell yourself something tomorrow, well, what's your brain going to automatically think? Well, you just said that yesterday and you didn't do it, so why should I believe what you're saying now? All right, same way you were looking at another person who did that, that's the same way that you are looking at yourself. All right, you are not an exception. Just because you're talking to yourself doesn't change the framework of this conversation. It still matters. So with that said, would you be okay with no showing on a commitment to yourself? Or why would you be okay with no showing on a commitment to yourself when you wouldn't no show on your parents as a kid? You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't no show on your teacher at school because you would get a failing grade. You wouldn't no show at your boss at work because you would lose your job and lose your paycheck and your ability to take care of your family. So why would you no show on yourself? I mean, because the self-esteem that you have leads to the way you perform for all those other people, for your parents, for your teachers, for your bosses. So if you don't feel good about yourself, you're not going to do a good job in any other place with any other person. So start with you. It starts in the mirror, everybody, and it ends in the mirror. All that said, let's recap today's class. It says how to structure urgency into your life. Understanding that you want to be a more productive individual. Urgency is one of the keys to increasing your productivity. So the first thing is watch the clock. Whatever you pay attention to, you get more of. What you ignore, it goes away. So paying attention to the time means you will be more conscious of how it is being used. And when you're more conscious about anything, you usually get better at it. Why? Because the human brain is the most powerful tool known to man. When you put the human brain to work, it can perform miracles, or things that you see as miracles, simply because you've never utilized its power as much as you could have in the past. But now that you're aware of it, now you're responsible for it. Number two, strategize for energy. It's hard to be urgent when you are tired or uninterested in your work. So organize your work so as to do the most important things first, do the most mentally taxing things when your mental energy is at its highest, and that's usually based around what times you're normally waking up and going to sleep. And number three, make commitments. This is a discipline point. When you commit to things, you usually end up getting them done, especially when you commit to other people. I'm telling you to transfer that same level of commitment and responsibility that you feel when you commit to another human, transfer that same level of commitment and respect to yourself. If you can respect your parents or your bosses, why not respect yourself the same way? All said, text me, tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. And also, when you're done texting me, keep your phone in your hand, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, get into the university. You can be coached by me directly. There's an option for that. You can get access to all of our courses with lifetime access, option for that, and also to get the Bulletproof Bulletin and the Black Book that I send out every month physically to your physical doorstep. Yes, your physical mailbox. We got an option for that as well. And if you're in the coaching program, you get all the other stuff. It comes with it. All right, so everything just kind of goes down cascading. That's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.